Hey there guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video on the channel. You know, when I thought of this video as a tier list of all these weapons in Modern Warfare, I'm like, that's a really easy video to make. I don't have to work too hard to get that done. Like, I'll be able to knock that out in about 10 minutes or so, no problem at all. But I've basically spent all morning, like, collating and collecting all of these different photos for all the guns and the weapons in Modern Warfare. Like, apparently, that's 54 photos that all have to look very, very similar, otherwise the list is going to look garbage, and then, I mean, what's the point? So, of course, as you would expect here, we have various different tiers, of course, the God tier, the Great tier, the Good tier, the Meh tier, the Bad tier, and of course, the Dumpster tier. Each of the weapons in Modern Warfare, including the Combat Knife, except for the variants of the Combat Knife, we're just going with the stock at this point. All these are going to get rated on this particular list here, and we're starting out with, I believe, the 1911, and it's one of those pistols that's just kinda okay. A lot of these weapons are probably going to end up in the Meh tier. The 357, of course, when you do slap on that akimbo, it does become quite good. It's never going to be like one of the best weapons in the game, as it is just a sidearm. Like, it was previously one of the best weapons in the game, but that was like ages and ages ago when it was unstoppable. So, just I think good tier is probably appropriate here. We've, of course, got the Deagle, the 50GS. Again, this is kinda okay. It's more probably at the bottom of good, top of Meh tier. It's fine. Like, it's not a super fantastic weapon, but I mean, what are you going to do? It can be put anywhere on the middle of this list, basically. Of course, we've got the 725 here, and if you use this, you as a player are dumpster tier. But as a weapon, it is probably at the top of good, if not great. Bottom of great, I would say, but we'll go with the top of good tier. In each of these lists, the further towards the left you are of this particular list, the better the weapon is. So the further right it does go, meaning the worse the weapon is. We're looking at what is the AK-47 here. This is another weapon that is quite good. I don't think it's a great weapon. I think it's a little bit too heavy on the recoil. I mean, you can sort out the attachments to make it very, very accurate, but I think it's just like probably bottom of great, top of good again. It's just one of those weapons that is a great weapon in this game, but there are better weapons in front of it. Now, if you had have asked me when the patch did drop and we started checking out the sort of stopping power rounds on the AN-94, I would have said it was the top of God tier, best weapon in the game, but it's kind of meh. Like, it's a little bit unfortunate that this weapon's actually kind of lame, but I mean, what are you going to do? It's good sometimes and it's bad at other times, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's the way it is. The AUG is another weapon that sort of sits in this middle tier list again. It's a good weapon. Like, I really do like the AUG with the 5.56 rounds and the 9mm rounds. You can do some serious work with both of them. Just a fantastic weapon all around. I actually might move the AK up to great tier. Yeah, I think the AK is actually a pretty good weapon. What is this? The AX50. These are all in alphabetical order as well, so that is helping a little bit with the names. The AX50 is, of course, a good weapon as well. I don't think it's a standout weapon, as sort of sniping in this game can be a little bit unreliable, and you have to sort of be very, very, very good at quickscoping in these games to sort of make use of the weapon. When you do come up against your assault rifles and SMGs and stuff like that, you have to be very, very good with a sniper rifle to get it to happen. Alright, we have the Bruin Mk9 here. Before it did get those most recent nerfs, it probably would have been great tier again. Now, it's like a decent weapon. It's probably in the bottom of good tier. Somewhere in the middle, I suppose. It's not too bad, but it's not like the best weapon in the game anymore. Combat Knife, again, I mean, it's not a great weapon, as you basically just have to get very, very close to people, which sometimes is not an option. It is, of course, if you are in those close quarter situations, an absolute god tier weapon, as it does one-shot people, but I mean, it's not a great weapon all round, so we skip it here. This is the CR56 AMX, which I think is a great tier, probably top tip, very tip top of the great tier, one of the best weapons in the game. Next, we have the Crossbow here, which again is not an ideal weapon. Again, you can get those one-shot kills on people, which would make it god tier, but like, you got to deal with a lot of different things with the Crossbow. The reload speed's really bad, so it's going to go in bad tier. It's not dumpster tier because it's not one of the worst weapons. Like, there are some way worse weapons than this, but it's not very good. The Dragunov isn't a meh weapon. Like, it's fine. It's nothing super standout. Probably the bottom of meh tier. Like, you can get 1 to 2 shot kills with this, and it's not super exciting. It's just one of those weapons that's okay. You can actually get 1-shot kills with the EBR, which does make it quite good. It's probably not better than the Dragunov, though, so it probably sits alongside it in the meh tier. Weapons we don't really care about too much. I really don't want to put the AN-94 in this tier, but man, it's not very good. The Fel is, of course, a great weapon in this game. You still get those one-shot headshots. Nothing more to say about that, really. The Fennec is, again, a meh weapon in this game. Like, they got that fast fire rate, but the bullets do like 1 damage, so you had to fire 1,000 bullets at someone before they even die, so it's not really worth it. I believe this is the Finn LMG, which is kinda okay. Probably another one of those meh tier weapons that's like fine. it's one of those weapons that's kind of lame. Like, of course, it's never going to be one of the best weapons in the game, as LMGs do have that sort of lower mobility to make up for that sort of damage and range that they do get, so Of course, the FN Scar 17. This is an okay weapon. It does fall down a little bit at its magazine size. Like, the maximum magazine I think you can have on this is, what, 25 or 30, which is not ideal. So it's just one of those things that you sort of have to struggle with, and you sort of have to take that attachment to get more bullets to fire. So it's a meh weapon as well. I think it's okay. Like, it's pretty good for the most part. It probably belongs in the good tier rather than the meh tier. The FR556, the Famas, is another one of those okay weapons, sort of, again, very middle tier. A lot of the weapons in this game are actually very much in the middle tier. Like, not a lot of them are super terrible, but these sort of, most of the weapons here sort of fall into these two categories here. We've not reached any of the god tier weapons yet. The Grau 556 would have been in the god tier as well, along with some of these other weapons, but they did get nerfed, so again, probably sort of in the middle of good tier. We've got the HDR here as well. This is another one of those weapons with the AX50 that's always going to be good if you can hit those shots with it. It is slightly less mobile than the AX50, as the HDR does have like less intuitive sort of aim down sight attachments and stuff like that, but you know, we can make this work here. So we'll put it at the bottom of the good tier. This is the Holger 26 here, which I actually personally really like. I think I'm probably the #1 Holger 26 fan in the entire world, but I know it's actually not that good. It's probably going in the bottom of good tier or the top of meh tier, so we'll put it here for now. The ISO is actually trash. Like, despite having a pretty good fire rate, like, the bullet damage is just bad. Like, I think it's a 4 to 5 shot kill at those close distances, which is just so bad. And then you get, like, out to further medium to longer distances, and then there's like a 6 to 7 to 8 shot kill, and you're like, nah, man, that's so bad. The Joker does have its uses, of course, getting those sort of kill streaks shot down and stuff like that, but it's not really an effective weapon outside of, like, memeing on ground war and stuff like that. So that can go in the dumpster tier as well. The Kar 98K, I believe this is. Yeah, this would be the Kar 98K, and that's a very good weapon in this game. Quickscoping is very easy with this, so we can slot this in the middle of good tier. The Kilo 141 is another one of those weapons that's probably the top of good tier, bottom of great tier. It's a very good weapon in this game. It's a solid assault rifle in my opinion. Probably go anywhere on this list, just in the middle here. But at the bottom of great tier, I think it's pretty good. A lot of people do like the M13, but in my opinion, the M13 does actually belong in the dumpster. It does have that very high fire rate as well, pretty low recoil, and you can make use of it, but man, it just doesn't work for me. Like, I can never get an attachment setup that does the job for me. I know people are going to disagree with this and say it's like good or at least meh, but I really don't like the M13. I don't think it's the worst weapon on this list, but I really don't like the M13. It's like a 5-shot kill at baseline at close range, and that's like not good. So that's where I stand on that. The M19 here, of course, is another one of those weapons that is in the meh tier with these pistols. We don't really care about them too much. It's not super interesting unless you slap on the akimbos, in which we can sort of change around this list a little bit later on if we are considering that. But I mean, it's always going to be one of those weapons that you do consider fine for that sort of close range option. It's not going to be one of the best because it's not super powerful at long range as well as close range, but you can make it work with those sort of akimbo perks as well. The M4A1, of course, is the god tier weapon in this game. This is the weapon all other weapons are compared to. Is it better than the M4? Yes or no, and you sort of slide down this list based on that. The M91, I believe, is not a great weapon in this game. Like, some of the LMGs are just a tad too slow with the attachment options that you do get, so I think this is a bad tier weapon. The MG34 can actually be made to be pretty good, so it probably goes at the top of meh tier, the bottom of good tier. I'm going to put it at the top of meh tier because it's not a great weapon in any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, you can make it work in those close quarter situations with all of the aim down, sight speed, and movement speed attachments. It's a pretty fun weapon to use, but it's definitely not one of the best. The Mk2 Carbine is always going to be one of those weapons that's either god tier for you or dumpster tier for you. Like, it's one of those weapons that sort of fits very closely in the middle here because you can get those easy one-shot kills, but if you miss, you're dead. So it's sort of in the middle here, which is pretty fine for this weapon, I believe. I actually really like the Model 680. I think it is a great weapon in this game. Easy one-shot kills and a good one-shot distance of about 15 meters or so to my knowledge. So very good weapon here. Bottom of great tier. MP5 here as well. One of the god tier weapons in this game. Always. They've nerfed this like a billion times. Good fire rate, good damage. One of the best weapons in the game for sure. MP7. A lot of people really do like the MP7. They'd probably consider it among the god or great tier weapons. I really don't like the MP7 that much. Like, it does give me sort of Modern Warfare 3 MP7 vibes, but it's a little bit different. I think it's good weapon, probably at the top of good tier. It's never going to be sort of one of the best weapons in the game in my opinion, just because the damage is a little bit low, but we can make it work in a lot of situations. I don't really like the Odin either. I think the Odin is actually a dumpster tier weapon. You can make it work. I think you can actually get a one-shot kill with this, but I mean, I can never find a good attachment setup with the Odin either. It's like the M13. I know some people really do like the Odin, but I just can't make it work with any attachment choices that I make, so not super great for me. The Origin 12 is also a dumpster tier weapon. I've seen a lot of people using this in multiplayer recently, trying to level it up for Warzone. I believe it is quite good in Warzone. Like, it would probably be a good tier weapon or a great tier weapon in Warzone, but for multiplayer, absolute trash. Like, it's literally the worst shotgun by so much. The one-shot kill range is about 1 centimeter. It's so stupid. P90 is a good weapon. That's all I really have to say about that. It is an SMG with a decent fire rate, really easy to control recoil, and okay damage. I think it does share the same damage profile as one of the other weapons on this list. I think it was actually the Fennec, but I mean, what can you do? The P90's fine. Like, it's always going to be one of those weapons that's never super great, but I think it's fine. Was this the Strela P or the other one, the Peeler? I cannot remember the name of this, so it'd be the Peeler, I believe, which again, bad. You're not going to use this for a killing tool. If you're going to use it for a killing tool for a launch, you just want to throw on the RPG and do an okay job. But even then, like, this particular weapon is not great. This is the PKM here, and that's a good weapon. I really do like the PKM. It did suffer a little bit at the cost of the no stock nerf, increasing that recoil control that we do get, like making it way harder to hit those shots. So it probably is towards the bottom of good tier. A lot of people do actually rate the PP19 Bison quite highly on these lists. I'm not a super big fan of it. It does have a very large magazine for an SMG, which is absolutely hilarious. I think you can get it up to like 84 shots, which is absolutely wild. So probably the bottom of good tier as well. The R90 shotgun. Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial. You've probably seen it recently as a close range absolute monster in a lot of your games. If you get in the right spots, like if you avoid those longer lines of sight with this particular weapon, which you can do with a smoke grenade and so on, you can absolutely destroy people with this. I'm not going to put it in the God tier because that would be a little bit silly based on some of the other stuff that I've said previously about like the pistols and distance and stuff like that. So we'll put it at the very top of great tier. The Ram 7 is another one of those weapons that's always going to be fantastic in this game. It is essentially just an M4A1 with a faster fire rate and a slightly different recoil pattern. So this does have to go at the top of great tier as well. One of those weapons that if you do compare it to the M4, they're very similar. So they have to be quite close together in terms of stats. The Renetti now is kind of bad. Like, it used to be one of the best sidearms in the game that you could get with that triple burst weapon, the Akimbo perk. Like, used to be so great, and now it's pretty bad. Riot Shield also super bad. Like, actually dumpster tier, like one of the worst things in the game that you can get, especially if you're trying to get like skins and stuff like that. The Riot Shield. Many of you have tried this before and it is really terrible. I know a lot of people use the RPG for an easy kill, and a lot of people that aren't running that explosive resistance perk, and you do get easy kills with this as a one shot in most situations, but I mean, it's kind of cheesy and I hate it a lot. So bottom of or the top of meh tier. I think it's fine. It's not a great weapon, but you have to respect being able to get one-shot kills in this game. The Rytec AMR, I believe this is, which is an okay sniper rifle. Like, it's fine. It's, again, one of those weapons that's always going to be okay if you can hit your shots, and I think it's probably going to go in the top of meh tier. The SA-87 is a bad weapon in this game. Like, it's a little bit unfortunate that it is a weapon that does suffer from that attachment syndrome, like attachments being an LMG, so it moves a little bit slower by default, and then you sort of throw on these attachments and it's still an okay weapon. It's never going to be that good unless they buff this significantly, like increase the damage numbers and stuff like that, so we'll put it in the bad tier for now. I don't really like the SKS either. I think this is kind of an okay weapon. When the FAL does out damage this completely, you get those one-shot kills with the FAL, and you're like, why would I ever use the SKS? So again, bad tier weapons for me. Like, the Striker 45 in the stock rounds is a bad weapon. There's nothing else you can say about this. Like, you're better off using some of the other weapons in this game. The Uzi used to be terrible. Like, I would have put it in dumpster tier at the start of the game. One of the worst weapons in the game for sure. Low fire rate, low damage, like, definitely a terrible weapon, but now it is at the top of great tier, almost in God tier with that two-shot kill. The pros did want the 4.1 AE 32 round mags banned, and that's all you have to really know about that. Very powerful weapon in this game. The Vlk Rogue, similar to the R90 shotgun, is a very good weapon in this game. Probably the bottom of great tier, probably in front of the Model 680 though, as I think the Vlk Rogue is a little bit better, but I mean, just such a good weapon in this game for sure. The X16, again, okay, matches up with some of these other pistols that we've got here in the Akimbo variety. I think it's always going to be okay if you do get that Akimbo to run around, sprint people at sort of those close ranges and stuff like that. And lastly, the last rocket launcher that we do have here, I believe this is the Strela P. I think, I can't really remember, but again, with the other launches, just pretty bad. So we're going to rejig our list here, and we'll talk about some of the changes that we've made afterwards. Okay, so it didn't actually change anything's tier, but I did move them around in the tiers, which is not super significant. You can just know that some of these weapons are better than others, of course, by looking at these lists. Of course, your God tier weapons, your M4 and your MP5s. Your great tier is pretty consistent with a lot of these weapons. These are very good weapons in this game. good tier weapons that are pretty strong but are like hampered in some way. They have some problems about them that sort of don't let them be some of the best weapons in the game. Meh tier, we really don't care about them too much. Bad, of course, is pretty just weapons that don't work very well, and dumpster tier weapons are just weapons that are so super bad in this game, you just would not bother using them over literally anything else. There is no redeeming qualities for these things. Alrighty guys, this turns out this list was a little bit more difficult to make than I thought it would be, but if you do enjoy this kind of video, make sure you do let me know by leaving a like, and do subscribe if you are new around here, of course. We are, of course, heading towards 3,000 subscribers very, very soon. We're almost at 2,900, so do help me out in getting there very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching this one. Hopefully it's a little bit of an interesting video for you guys. If you disagree with me, make sure you let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!